On this video, I'm going to discuss a very interesting abstract which is to be found in this week's Torah portion. Jews from around the world read in the synagogues on this Saturday the Torah portion called Parshat Pinchas. And there's a very, very interesting abstract which I will talk about on this video. My name is Jessica Madden. On my channel here on YouTube, I help people raise their awareness and become more successful as a result. I share the amazing tips and great lessons which I picked up throughout my life, and amazing tips and great lessons which I pick up every single day of my life. Reminding you once again that the 100th subscriber to my channel here on YouTube, press that subscribe button and be the 100th subscriber, and I will send you a free gift. And the shipping, it's on the house. Free as well. Without further ado, let's get into it. What is that very interesting abstract? It's an interesting abstract which I've not seen anyone talk about. This is it. I'm going to give you a bit of a recap. I'm going to go back to Parshat Chukat, which was 2 weeks ago. In other words, 2 weeks ago, Jews from around the world read in the synagogues Parshat Chukat. In Parshat Chukat, the Jews were very, very distraught. They had no water to drink, and they were very, very distraught. They turned to Moshe and they said, "Please get us water. Please make water come." Moshe turns to God and says, "How am I supposed to make water come to please these people? How am I supposed to do that?" God says, "Gather the nation and speak to the rock." Moshe gathers the nation and he hits the rock, and water comes out. Moshe was hence punished for what he had done, and he was not allowed into the land of Israel because he was told to speak to the rock and not hit the rock. And when he hit the rock, he was under a lot of pressure and he acted on impulse. That was the problem. In this week's Torah portion, in Parshat Pinchas, Moshe doesn't act on impulse. He sees Zimri committing an act, a sinful act. He doesn't go and take his romach, his spade, and kill him. He doesn't do that, despite the fact that there was a plague going on. So Moshe must have felt a lot of pressure on. But Moshe learned his lesson. And he doesn't go out and kill Zimri. He didn't allow Pinchas, but Pinchas ended up going and doing it. Now, I want to discuss, what did Pinchas actually do? And was it the right thing what he had done? Well, what Pinchas had done was actually considered an act of zealousy. And the Talmud says that Pinchas acted in a haste, and it was not the most commendable act to have done. Now, you might take this the wrong way and think I'm implying that Pinchas committed an act of treason or a sin. Absolutely not. He didn't commit a sin and he stopped the plague. Nonetheless, he didn't act of zealousy. He acted in haste and he acted on autopilot. Zealots tend to act on autopilot. It's not really considered a commendable act. Allow me to elaborate. Think about it. Ostracizing Jews, throwing them out, ostracizing members of various other faiths because they don't follow our faith, that's not an act of zealousy. That's actually an act which sort of makes us mushroom in size. It turns people away. By closing doors, we effectively cause people to turn elsewhere, go elsewhere. And so, whilst there are zealots out there who will not accept any member of the faith who doesn't act in perfect alignment with the faith, and especially people who intermarry, they tend to get very, very caught up in their concern over that, and they tend to re-ostracize and excommunicate them. That's not actually a commendable act. And Moshe Rabbeinu did not do that. Moses did not act on impulse. In a lot of my videos, I talk about not acting on impulse, not acting on autopilot, not acting from the ego. A lot of zealots act from their ego. There's not much more to it than their ego. You know, closing doors is a very easy act. And one feels quite egoistic and pretty cool about it. But it doesn't achieve that godliness which is expected of us. B'tselem Elohim bara et Adam. B'tselem Elohim bara es Adam. In the image of God, the human being, the person was created. What does that mean? That means that regardless of who you come into contact with, regardless of whether you found a Jew in your synagogue who's married to somebody of your faith, or regardless of somebody who might be LGBT, it doesn't make a difference. If you're going to ostracize them, that's an act of impulse. That's an act of autopilot. And that's an act of zealousy, and it's an egoistic act. And it's not commendable. Whilst Pinchas was rewarded for what he had done, fair enough, he was rewarded for it. But Moshe Rabbeinu didn't do that act. And he was on a lot higher madrega, a much higher caliber than Pinchas. He learned his lesson. Since Parashat Chukat, which was 2 weeks ago, read in the Jewish synagogues 2 weeks ago, to this week's Torah portion, Parashat Pinchas, Moshe learned his lesson. He didn't act in autopilot. He stayed away. There was a play going on. It was scary. Nonetheless, and I imagine that must have been a lot more scarier than in Parashat Chukat when he was surrounded by a lot of people putting the pressure on him to go and get the water out already so he wouldn't hit the rock. Nonetheless, in this week's Torah portion, when there was a play going on already, he remained calm and collected, and he acted from a place of life happening for him, not to him. How often does Jessica Madden talk about that? Life happens for us, not to us. That's my message today. My message is one of acting from a place of thought, not acting in a haste. My message is one of thought. My message is one of deep thinking, and it's an abstract, which I've not found anybody talk about. It's a very interesting abstract, and it is also a very powerful abstract, because in this week's Torah portion, Moshe learned his lesson. What do you think about this amazing abstract, this amazing lesson in this week's Torah portion? And what do you think about the concept of not working from autopilot and doing things from thought? And what do you think about the concept of allowing thought to take place in our minds and to process things, and not excommunicating members of faith who don't comply to every part of our faith? Do you agree that we see from this week's Torah portion that that's not praiseworthy? What is your thoughts on this matter? Please leave it in the comment section down below. And if you like this video, why not press that like button? It's so easy. And why not feel free to share this video with your friends, family, acquaintances, neighbors, whoever. Feel free on social media, wherever you want. I give you my full permission to feel free to share this video wherever you want. I am sending you lots and lots of love, high frequency, and high vibrations, and wishing you a great week ahead. I look forward to seeing you in my next video.